Well, greetings, people of the internet. Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Where have I been? Well, you silly goose, I've been in the Bahamas for the last 2 weeks. Because, no, wrong. I've been working my ass off to make a dollar so I can spend 75 cents of that dollar on frickin' food to feed my family. Yeah, I've been working just like the rest of you. And that's the problem. There's never time while you're working to do the things you really like to do, which are these videos, but work's got to come first, right? Or sometimes not at all. Anyway, so a special shout out today to Medicurb. Medicurb is one of our subscribers. I don't know how long he's been a subscriber, maybe since the beginning. 6 years ago, I think I started this YouTube channel. He also hangs out with us on Discord. He's my kind of guy. But he's just a sweetheart of a guy, and he sent me a bunch of stuff. And so that tonight's video is about some of that stuff he sent me and what I'm going to do with it. So let's go to that video, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more. All right, so I don't remember how much of this I've filmed already. So here's the case that I went with. It's a 2U rack case, but this 2U rack case is really long. It took me 5 minutes to walk to the end of that case. It really, look at all that. Look at the mess. Look. Because it's a lab. I do things in my lab, and therefore my lab is messy. 2U case. I really didn't put a lot of effort into this case other than making sure it was long enough, and you're about to find out why I needed such a long case. The power supply in this case sits right up here. That's why the vents are there. It's really kind of an odd bird. The front panel is not removable at all, so no hopes of removable hard drives in there, but that's not what this machine's all about anyway. This machine has something very special on the back. Now I'm going to take a picture of it, and I want you to see if you can tell me what that something special is. Other than no back panel, what does it have? A lot of. That's right. Network cards. In fact, it has 6. The other one is IPMI. Because it's a super micro motherboard. Now this motherboard was donated to the channel by Medicurb. And Medicurb has his own, or I don't know if he has his own AC company or he works for one up in the Northeast. And he was doing some upgrades, and he had this board laying around, and he sent me this along with a bunch of other goodies. In fact, some of those goodies that I'm running today are right here. I got a couple of the Samsung SSDs he sent me, and of course this is one I had donated to me by a client a few years ago, and we got everything hooked up. But the reason I had to go with a long case is because it's got a very oddly shaped motherboard. It's like 12 by 19 or some odd shape. Luckily, it didn't require anything as far as a special power supply. In fact, I had this CB550 laying around as a spare, and once I figured out how to mount it, it was trivial. And you see it fits very well. The motherboard is a Xeon. It's got a Xeon CPU in it. E3 series. I'll get you the specs on it. But it's got built-in IPMI. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 network ports in it. So it makes, truly, this will be the ultimate router, firewall, network device. I mean, think about it. Think about the things you can do with this. You know, if you're to virtualize the hardware, for one thing, There's no limit, really, to what you can do to this. It even has, look at how many SATA ports it has. And it even has a PCI X16 and a 8 slot. So if you wanted to put a couple of hard drive controllers in here, or a SAS controller, you could do that. Now I'm going to try and figure out how to permanently mount these drives. Well, not permanently, but at least a little more securely mount these drives. But the idea is that this is a boot drive, and then these two Samsungs are in here, and they're 500 gig Evo drives. They're in here just to store virtual machines. Now, your next quiz of the day is, what operating system are we going with? Ha ha ha. You thought it was going to be Proxmox. No. The ultimate firewall router is going to be running Windows. Got it built. Got at least one LED working. Oh, it looks like the hard drive LED is working. Didn't get the network LED to work, but I didn't know there was a network LED connection on this motherboard. We'll have to look for it. Anyway, the point is, Metakerb sent me all this great equipment. This isn't all he sent me. He sent me a plethora of other stuff. So, Metakerb, if you're out there listening, we called this machine Metakerb with a K, and that's the name it's going to keep. And it is going to be the ultimate firewall router networking device. Whatever we want to do networking-wise, we're going to do it on here, and we're going to do it virtually. Because I hate machines that are uber powerful like this and not put to work. I mean, what's the point? I mean, at idle, it sits here. How much power does it take at idle? $49 watts at idle. It should be doing something with those 49 watts other than idling. So it can at least be running as a firewall, right? What about a intrusion detection, intrusion prevention system? Either running on the firewall or as a separate virtual machine. How about running Docker on it? How about, I don't know, running a virtual switch on it? I don't know. What can we think of to run on this thing? And listen, that's even with all three of these fans running. It's very quiet. Those fans are not very loud. And honestly, when you put on the lid, you're probably not going to hear them at all. Oh no, you hear them. You hear them, and I don't know, they might even be a little bit louder now that they got negative pressure behind them. It's forcing the air out. So, but yeah, there you go. Thanks, Metakerb. All I had to do was add a power supply and a case, and this case wasn't cheap. These things, you used to pick them up for under $100. They're not cheap anymore. Nothing's cheap anymore. What am I saying? But so special thanks to Metakerb. It's built. It's got Windows on it. Now it's time to add some software, shake it, bake it, and see what we can get it to break it or to make it. Remember, this thing idles at 50 watts. In fact, $50 watt. There you go. And how about we put in there 50 watts at idle. Then we'll know. Thanks, Metakerb. One of the things in his goodie box. This box he sent me must have weighed 40 pounds. It was probably more expensive to ship the box to me than the contents of the box. I kid you not. Although, don't let me say there wasn't a bunch of good stuff in the box, because there was, and I'm using some of it right now. One of the things in the box was a super micro motherboard with an IPMI built in. Now, for those of you that don't get erections over tech stuff, you won't understand this, but you know, a super micro motherboard is a very well made motherboard, and IPMI is like the icing on the cake. It's the piece de resistance, as they say in France land, I think. Anyway, it's the bee's knees, and it makes the motherboard accessible remotely. You can even install operating systems, do BIOS updates, anything you can think of, as long as you've got a network connection. This built-in computer on the motherboard allows you to remotely install whatever you need to on it. So there you go, built from things that are borrowed, things that are blue. What, am I getting married? No. Yes, I built the machine. And I'm glad I took a little time to find that case, because it had to be extra long for that motherboard, which caused the price to go, and, you know, working, you know, for every dollar I earn, 75 cents goes to my food. That's a good joke. That was a good joke. It's not far from the truth, but nonetheless, it was a good joke. Yeah, it was hard parting with that money for that case when I have other needs, but I just couldn't sit by and see that motherboard not in use. You know what I'm saying? Now, is this going to consume more power than my little pfSense, you know, all-in-one little PC? I think it's got a quad-core processor and 8 gig of RAM and a NVMe drive. You know, it's not that old of a system, but it's great for a firewall. Is it going to run as efficiently, this big behemoth of a machine that's going to virtualize pfSense and other operating systems? Don't forget that. So it's bang for your buck kind of thing. Oh, hell no. When it idles, we know it consumes 50 watts of power. I can only imagine how this will be with a bunch of VMs running on it. We'll see. The Xeons are pretty power efficient. The newer ones are fairly power efficient CPUs. And frankly, the only thing that's going to be CPU intensive, I believe, is the intrusion detection, intrusion prevention. The rest is, and VPNs, of course, and encryption. But the rest is it's no big deal. So it should be able to handle it. And the best thing is we'll get to play around with different firewalls and different, there's lots of different options out there. Both some are free, some you pay for. And are there some of them, are they worth actually paying for? I don't know. When you got something as good as pfSense, and from what my friends tell me out on the interwebs, OpenSense, why would you use anything else? But anyway, we hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. Please smash that like button and donate if you're so inclined. We PayPal, YouTube, join Patreon, and YouTube Premium. Yes, all those, we get a little piece of that pie, so that would be great. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Please click that notification bell to be notified of new videos when they come up. All of that I just mentioned really helps with the algorithm, and it tells YouTube that you actually want to see what I'm making. That would be helpful, because that kind of, the cream rises to the top. Okay, the crap goes to the bottom, so my prospects are not looking that great, but do all those things I asked you to. They help the algorithm, and they tell me that's something. So thanks again for coming to see us, and please don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side.